Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers as they've been linked to a couple of different names out there on the trade market. Obviously, I posted my video a couple days ago about Erik Karlsson potentially ending up in Edmonton, as the Oilers management was kind of licking their chops at the potential of bringing in a guy like Karlsson. Make sure to check out that video. Of course, after watching this video here, if you're an Oilers fan, it's some good insight there. But today, we're going to go over a little bit more of an expansive list for the Oilers. And this is from The Athletic. And they mentioned in the article, they basically said a couple of interesting names. And again, a lot of these are defensemen. That seems to be the theme for the Oilers right now, is fixing that blue line. John Klingberg, Erik Karlsson, we already talked about that, and Jakob Chychrun have been tied to the Edmonton Oilers. And there's no real surprise there. We already talked about Karlsson. John Klingberg is a rental. If the Oilers decide to go that route, he might be a little bit cheaper from the Anaheim Ducks. And Jakob Chychrun, who is obviously more along the lines of Karlsson in terms of a longer-term solution on that blue line. But I think those are all really good players for the Oilers. Excuse me. All those guys are really good fits. It comes down to, what are the Oilers willing to give up? Because if I'm the Oilers, if you look at their current situation, this is a team that has some assets to play with. They have this year's first, second, and third round pick. And next year they have their own first and second round pick. So they have some draft pick capital to kind of throw around if they decide to bring in somebody. Now you look at their blue line right now, you've got Darnell Nurse, Tyson Barrie, Cody Ceci, Brett Kulak, Evan Bouchard, Philip Broberg, and Ryan Murray. And I don't think that's something they're all that confident in right now. I think they want to bring in somebody that's a little bit more established and a little bit better. And I think that, if they do make a trade, there is a couple guys that they may be willing to give up other than trading draft picks. There's been a lot of ties potentially, say, a Jesse Puljujarvi, an Evan Bouchard, or a Tyson Barrie. All three of those guys have kind of been thrown out there in trade rumors. So if the Canucks can find a way to either flip those guys for draft picks, to then flip those draft picks in a bigger deal for a Klingberg or a Karlsson or a Chychrun, that could be on the table very much here for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, there's been even more news on the front of Chychrun, and I think that is something that we have to talk about because, this is from Craig Morgan, who is a Coyotes reporter. He says that the Coyotes are now asking for 2 firsts and 1 second draft, meaning first-round draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks and a second-round pick, or a good prospect for Jakob Chychrun. And if the Oilers decide to go down that route, they have their next 2 years of first-round picks. Again, it's a costly price, but the Oilers are trying to win a Stanley Cup now. Are they really worried about getting more first-round picks, or for that matter, with the way the Oilers do things, more first-overall picks? Not really, right? You've already got your core. You don't need first-round picks anymore at this point. And that's where you need to be able to draft deeper in the NHL draft. You need to be able to draft some players like Tampa did a couple years back. The Tyler Johnsons in the 7th round. The Anthony Cirellis in the 5th round. Like, you need to be able to get some of those guys later in the draft. And this is a guy that could really help the Oilers' blue line, not only on the power play, penalty kill. He could be a real nice asset there. And the puck-moving defenseman that, let's be honest, they don't really have in Darnell Nurse right now. And, when I look at Chychrun, there is questions about his health, and I think that is a real concern here for the Oilers going out for a guy like that. But what's the difference between that and a Karlsson? I'd rather bet my money on a Chychrun, who is a little bit cheaper, than the big name in Erik Karlsson, who there's a lot more volatility, right? He might win the Norris Trophy this year, but his long-term status and his health and his contract, there was a lot more to lose in the Karlsson side of things than the Chychrun side of things. And again, Chychrun is still a younger player that can still develop. So there is that upside there as well. So when I look at the Oilers, yeah, they have let's just say, right, they've got the 2 first-round picks. And what is a good prospect? Is Puljujarvi a good prospect? Is Evan Bouchard a good prospect? What is the line there? Because if they're willing to take one of those 2 guys, well, there you go. But the Oilers, again, they have to ask that question. Do we want to give up the next 2 years of first-round picks for Jakob Chychrun? And honestly, I think the Oilers are in a position now, as crazy as it sounds, I normally wouldn't be saying you want to give up draft picks this far out, like next year's first-round pick. This might be one where the Oilers it might be worth biting the bullet if I'm the Oilers here. I'm actually maybe, yeah, my temperature's okay. I do think there is something to this here for the Oilers. And, and you look at some teams here from Morgan. He mentioned a couple teams that have been linked or should be linked to Chychrun. He says that Toronto, Boston, Florida, Los Angeles, Ottawa, and of course the Edmonton Oilers still believed to be in the Chychrun race. And, Toronto and Boston make sense for the reason that they want to add some good blue liners to a cup contender. Los Angeles has been in the mix because they've got the assets that the Coyotes want. Supposedly they've really liked some guys like Gabe Vilardi on that team. They've got the first round picks, right? Ottawa is believed to be in the mix because they might be a team that maybe tries to make a run at a playoff spot this year. They don't need first round picks or prospects. So maybe they're willing to give up those 2 first round picks, right? That they're willing to give up some extra draft capital in order to get a Chychrun. And the Florida Panthers make sense because Jakob Chychrun's from Boca Raton, Florida. So there is that sentiment that maybe he wants to go back to the Sunshine State. So there is something to be said there. And the Oilers are not going to be the only team in the race here. So again, that's where I lean toward more. I don't think Puljujarvi gets it done. If it's 2 first-round picks in Puljujarvi, I think teams will outbid the Oilers. But if it's 2 first-round picks in Evan Bouchard, as an Oiler fan, I'd hate to give up on Bouchard here. But I think that you have to look at it as I'd rather keep Philip Broberg. And if it means losing Bouchard and bringing in Chychrun, who might be able to help develop a guy like Broberg, well, maybe I'm willing to make that sacrifice of trading Bouchard if it means that I can get that done. And who's to say that the Oilers maybe get a guy in a Puljujarvi straight-up trade? Let's say a Puljujarvi for a defenseman. I lean against the Oilers making those trades because they haven't done well in those one-for-one trades in the not-so-recent history in the past, right? Adam Larson for Taylor Hall. Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome. Ryan Spooner for Frank Vetrano, I think. Who was that deal, right? They traded for Ryan Strome. I don't remember what that deal was. See, that's how insignificant that deal was for the Oilers, right? You get what I'm saying? They haven't done well in the one-for-one trades. So there is a little risk in that with Puljujarvi. But at this point, Puljujarvi, it's like anything is better than where they're at now. So maybe it's just like let him do whatever he does wherever he goes, but accept the fact that he was never going to develop with you. So whatever you get is worth more than what you've gotten already in Puljujarvi, if that makes sense, right? It's almost one of those things where it's worth the bet of him maybe doing well somewhere else because you just know it's not going to work out in Edmonton, right? And you have to kind of accept that. And I think that's what the Oilers have to do here. And they have to accept that if they want to acquire a good defenseman, like some of these guys like Carlson and Chychrun, you have to be willing to give up assets. Like teams are not going to give them up for free. And the Coyotes aren't even in a position where Chychrun's going to leave next summer. He's got 3 more years left on a gorgeous contract. As even if he's out of the lineup and injured, that contract is still so attractive that teams are going to still show interest there. So I think the Oilers are one of the teams that could really benefit from a Chychrun, but let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys see a potential of Jakob Chychrun ending up in Edmonton? Do you guys agree, disagree? Of course, let me know what you guys think. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.